Well, good morning and welcome to your Friday morning cup of cyber. And as you know, on Friday we wear red. Wow, a month plus, at least a month now. I've been talking about getting some other red coffee cup than this red coffee cup. It's it's one of those things I just keep putting off. I don't know why. Who knows? But I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it this morning. I'm gonna go get on Amazon and get me a red coffee cup. But right now it's gonna work. St. Louis Cardinals Illy coffee will get me started. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. You ever have that feeling? Sorry about that. Okay, it's Friday. We're going to jump in and talk about what is going on in the news. What's going on in the news, your cyber news of the day. Jump in and let's take a look at what's going on today. I don't know where my little tiny window went, but I'll be okay. I'll move this one over there. And we'll jump right into the news this morning. So the attacks, they never slow down. We keep on rolling, keep on getting new and improved hacks. Again, if you're going to come into security, if you're going to come into the security field or in the security field, you know this stuff doesn't slow down at all. It doesn't slow down. It keeps coming. So InvisiMole is an attack that's targeting high-profile military and diplomatic. Wow. InvisiMole is an attack that's targeting high-profile military and diplomatic entities, and it's pretty impressive the way they put it together. The Cyber-Recon group, which is one of the attack profiles, is thought to be behind this. They're thought to be behind the folks that are putting this together. It's really a sophisticated chaining set of tools and a couple different attacks that are put together. And we've seen this kind of thing. It's really Stuxnet was the first one that brought this out, this chaining and combining attacks, and it's the first one that was really big on the news, really made national news. So the thing we need to know about this is this was first discovered at least in 2013. Or at least it was active in 2013. I should say it was discovered in 2018, but it's been active since 2013. So it's been around a while. The Cyber-Recon group, and their target is normally Ukrainian and Russian organizations. That's where they targeted cyber operations in Ukraine and Russia. That's where they're going for. They've been hiding out for a while. They haven't had a lot going on, but now they've got this InvisiMole modular attack architecture. It starts with a wrapper DLL, and we know that sometimes these dynamically linked libraries are really a good way to get a foothold in, as other applications call them, and bring them in. Once they get in, they have a feature-rich spyware, and they're calling, I love the names of some of these things. It's RC2FM and RC2CL. They can make system changes, scan wireless networks, track geolocation of victims, gather user information, and even upload sensitive files in the compromised machine. But the exact mechanism isn't clear. But one of the things that's crazy about this, beyond the fact that these guys use their tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTP, is normally they live off the land. So if you have tools installed on the machine, they'll use those machine installed tools to continue their attack on the networks. So that's why limit the amount of tools that are installed on your machines when you're the security person at your organization. Definitely keep them limited. They've been targeting Ukraine for a long time. They've got two attack tools, and once this Cyber-Recon exploit is done, they continue this on with this InvisiMole. And InvisiMole is the more advanced tool set, and it's really targeted at the higher profile or the higher status targets. So once the initial target set, or once the initial exploit is run, then they run this InvisiMole, and InvisiMole compromises a couple exploits that are known. They're CVE 2019-070H, which is called Blue Keep, and CVE 2017-0144, Eternal Blue. The second, they target vulnerabilities in RDP and SMB, or remote desktop procedure, or server message block. And then also they make use of Trojanized documents. It's really, this is, of all the articles, this is the one you should read. And I'll throw the link, of course, in the show notes below. Obviously, the target set is probably a little different than most people watching the show this morning. It's Ukrainian Russian folks, but the way this is put together is important. Look at the way it's put together. The command and control, normally these attacks reach out to a CNC, or a command and control center, which is usually a known server. This particular attack gets around that because instead of going to a CNC node, it's using DNS tunneling. So it sends a request to a benign DNS server, which you really can't block. And then that DNS server sends the follow-on request to a compromised DNS server that again sends the command back to the client, which, again, a very stealthy way of moving your command and control around. Bottom line is, if you're watching the show this morning, you're probably not in the target set of this attack group today. Normally they're targeting the Russians and the Ukrainians, but it's good to know how this thing is put together. Read the article, see how it's put together, see how it uses the DLL, how it uses a dropper to send information, see how it uses this DNS tunneling to pass command and control information, because those are all techniques that we have to be aware of, and they're really hard to block, especially that DNS tunneling. It's using a legitimate DNS server, and then that DNS server is reaching out to another DNS server to get the information. And that's where the compromised information control chain happens. That's just, it's crazy. That's the biggest one for today. That's one probably not in your set of things you need to watch out for being attacked on, just because their target set is different than normally American companies. But the process they're using is important to know, because if it's effective, other people will start using it, and we see that. The other thing we see this morning on the news, and it shouldn't surprise anyone, is that hackers are targeting military and aerospace staff by posing as HR staff and offering jobs to folks. We've seen this for a while. Either you're looking at the postings for jobs to try to profile an organization, or sometimes they're turning that around and reaching out to specific people, targeting them, spear phishing them to get information. And this is happening on LinkedIn. So people are reaching out on LinkedIn, and they're dubbing this Operation Interception based on the reference Inception. They're pretending to be from organizations like General Dynamics or Lockheed Martin or other organizations that normally hire a lot of tech-savvy folks in the military and aerospace industry. And what they're doing is they're sending, once they initialize the communication with you in LinkedIn, then they're going to send you information. And the information is going to come from something like, if it's General Dynamics email is usually gd.com. This may be gd.net or gd.ru or something like that, trying to fool you into it. The emails or the text chains I've seen it's very obvious that this is a non-English speaking person that's sending the text across. That may be your first indicator, but not always a perfect one, because that can always be increased. They can get a better grasp of the language and get beyond that. The folks that found this one is ESET. They suspect the Lazarus group, which is a North Korean hacking group, APT folks. And they're trying to get on to those aerospace or military contractors' machines. They sent a RAR or a zipped archive, and inside that there's a link to the job offer that executes a shell command that launches a PDF, but it also creates a WMIC tool command that does a bunch of stuff. Creates some scheduled tasks. It creates a hidden folder on the local drive. And then they name that. It was interesting. They name it something like Skype, NVIDIA, Intel, OneDrive, Mozilla, something like that. So it's hidden, and then it runs an XSL script that can run exploits and stuff like that, including running a second stage C++ backdoor. So obviously, watch what you're doing, watch where you're getting your information from, watch, job offers should always be skeptical. Again, I'll throw the link to this one in the show notes. They have a copy in here of a chat session between the attacker and the victim. It's obviously, you definitely check the article out. It's from the Hacker News. And some of this is, do you want to work in our company? Let's chatting Skype. If you wish the information, I can send it to you. It's just, it doesn't ring as normal English, American English. When you read the text chats, it's going to kind of be that first sign of phishing. Should jump out at you. It doesn't sound right. Definitely check it out. Check out the article. A good read on this one this morning. Got all kinds of stuff going on this morning. Chrome's in the news again. Google's removing 106 Chrome extensions. They identified 111 malicious ones that were collecting user information, copying keystrokes, getting clipboard contents, cookies, session cookies, all kinds of stuff. Big one about this, you really don't have to do anything other than be careful of what extensions you're loading onto Chrome. If you have these extensions loaded, Google's not removing them. They're just labeling them as malicious. So they'll stay in your browser. I recommend you go out there and clean them up. There is in the show notes, I'll drop the link to this one as well. It's got the listing of extensions and the status of each of the extensions. And you can go in there and clean them up. According to ZDNet, the folks that put this together, at the time of their writing, there were 111 malicious extensions for Chrome, and 5 of them were not on the list of extensions that were reported by Awake to Google that are still live. So 106 of them essentially have been disabled, but there are 5 of them that are still live. So you want to go out there, check the list, make sure that you don't have any of these extensions running. Even if they've targeted them as malicious and they disabled them, it's not a good thing to leave those things out there in case somehow they get turned back on. I would make them go away, remove them from your Chrome browser, and watch what you're downloading. Make sure you're downloading stuff from reputable folks, and just keep track of it. It's just that easy, I guess. It's not always that easy, right? Coronavirus in the news again. As you would expect, more people are working from home. DDoS, or distributed denial of service attacks, have increased significantly. Because we're at stay-at-home orders, there's a number of people that are relying on teleworking, which uses, of course, the internet, which means that attackers can have a new target set to attack. If they can hit you with a denial of service, you can't do your work. So looks like there was a 14% increase in DNS query volumes between March 1st and May 3rd. DNS queries are just a sign of people connecting to different portals, different organizations. DNS hijacking is always a threat because when you get redirected to a malicious site, that's a great way for them to install malicious software on your machine. It's the spike, giant spike in the distributed denial of service attacks coming at us. Again, that was in the show notes. That shouldn't be surprising to anyone that that's happening. And our weird holiday of the day isn't really a weird holiday. So it's on the weird holiday list, but you know, it is Juneteenth. I guess I wouldn't call this a weird holiday. Um, I'm only saying that because it's on the weird holiday website. But I didn't really know a lot about Juneteenth until maybe last year. I learned a little more about it, and this year definitely learned a lot more about it. It is obviously topical, but it's kind of important. I grew up with the kind of vanilla version of what happened, around the Civil War, after the Civil War. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed on September 22nd, 1862. I thought that was it. I thought, that was it, the end of slavery. It wasn't really till June 19th of 1865 that the slaves were finally freed. And this was a General Gordon Granger rode in Galveston, Texas, with his troops and issued Order Number 3, which finally freed the last of the slaves. The formal end of slavery was marked by the passing of the 13th Amendment in the Constitution. So it's important to know these things. Just know your history. There's things we should know. I honestly didn't know as much about it as I should have, and there's a bunch of resources now, which is a good thing. There's a ton of resources you can go check out now about Juneteenth. It's today. A lot of states are making it a state holiday. I think there's only like 4 to 6 states who haven't made it a state holiday. It's not a federal holiday yet, so it's not at the federal level, but something you should know. I know a little bit. So that's the rundown of the news. What we got for the rest of y'all next week, we're back to trivia night, so every other week. So trivia night will be Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Hope you're there. Got a great turnout last time. So 2 weeks ago we had a great turnout. Competition was stiff. Had some good questions. I think this time equally good questions. Obviously there'll be some brain teasers in there, and there'll be some things maybe a little easier. Cover the gambit. Do you know your security terms? Do you know your security knowledge? Do you know your security history? Excuse me. Allergies are terrible today. And next week we're going to jump into a new series where we're going to be securing and building out a network. Well, sorry about that. Securing and building out a network for a small office, home office, or SOHO. We're going to do things like look at a normal cable company provided cable router and how to secure that, how to secure printers, how to install an upgraded network system, how to install a kind of like a level 2, one grade up, I guess it is essentially enterprise class protection, IDS, IPS, firewall, enterprise class access points. How do we secure the access point you buy at Best Buy? And how do you upgrade to the next level up if you need to upgrade any? We're going to even put some security cameras in place. We're going to do this from the dead. You just have the modem that's the access point provided by the cable company. Let's start there, and let's work all the way up to what we would think would be high-end for a small office or a home office. We're not going to go too much beyond that. We'll provide the pricing, how much things cost, if you want to go that route, and how to put each thing together. One of the first things we'll be talking about is, do you know the difference between these two things, right? Do you know the difference between, different types of volatile and non-volatile memory? So do you know what volatile memory is? Do you know what non-volatile memory is? How do they work? What's the difference between the two of them? And the importance of this is how they relate to your home network, and how we can put things like, external drives on your machine so you can do backups. That would be kind of a kind of a basic level of protection, backing up your systems to something like an external drive that we can plug in. And then we'll upgrade that a little bit to something like this, which Amazon put their nice labeling all over this, but this is a Buffalo NAS, or network attached storage. This one here is 8 terabytes. We'll install this, we'll get it up and running. Surprise, this is RAID 1, so it does provide protection of the data. So we see it's 8 terabytes here. That really means we have 4 terabytes of usable storage, because there's 2 drives in there. If one drive fails, everything's mirrored over to the other drive. That's RAID 1. So we'll talk a lot about that next week. We're going to get in depth into building that out. We'll probably install the NAS after we secure the cable company provided modem and access point. So join us next week. There's a lot of stuff going on next week. We're changing up the format. Obviously, this cup of cyber is just going to be the news and talking about what's going on with Cyber-Recon. Next week, obviously, the big points are we're going to continue driving on with the Security Plus examination preparation. We're going to start talking about securing your small office, home office. So if you're a YouTube star, if you're building a YouTube channel, if you want to, maybe you're going into security and you want to provide a niche service to helping small businesses secure their offices, healthcare, dental, just really anything. You want to go in and help people provide a service to help people secure their networks, secure their environments. This is when you start watching. If you want to help people build out the technology and help them better operate on their IT, this is really when we want to start watching as well. So join us next week. I'm glad you're here this morning. As always, love it if you could subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when new content comes out. Share this with your friends if you would. Love to get more people on here. We'd love to share the knowledge. So if you can, be safe out there, and we will see you next time. Love to see your comments below too. Don't forget that.